when talking about leaving the body and the silver cord, it reminds me of something which happened connected with the previous group I was involved with. So the offshoot of Ekankar, the way of truth, for those people who don't know. The guy who was the main one there, he was very attached to his wife, although he would not admit so. The wife have had cancer for years, and it was like a family scenario in her family. So having the abilities he had, when one of the times, a few years ago, when she was leaving the body, he intervened and connect her silver cord. It costed him pretty much of the energy, so he had some serious health problems, so serious that the medical helicopter was sent to him to transfer him to the proper hospital. And he survived, he recovered. But then, the last time, when I heard he actually died, I was pretty sure that it was in the result of trying to intervene with the life of his wife. So it was pretty funny how people, even when highly aware, are attached and have a lot of arguments, logical arguments, which say the opposite, but the life shows what's real. So that's one anecdote story from the previous group. Most of the members had no idea about it, and I didn't share also, so that's it, whatever. As for the other experiences I had lately, I had kind of snippets, very short scenes, which I don't know how to interpret, so I do not bother sharing on the previous calls. One was, so on the left side is a hill, like cliff, and people are living in the caves, in a sense like they used to live in the past at some point, a cliff with a lot of cave places, and people live in that kind of system somehow. This was on the left side, and in the middle down there on my mental screen was some kind of the abyss, like maybe there was a river before, but in a result of something which happened, it looks more like the abyss at this point. And I had it when had that that idea when there were a lot of those rain accidents in Germany and all around the world, and those mud floods and things like that. So I thought I got the idea that it was just um, me seeing such a thing for no special reason, maybe because it was so massive or and traumatic for those people. The next one I had like 2 weeks later was spaceship, but it's also only one or two scenes. So it was hovering spaceship, like something classical, that round shape we used to think about those spaceships, metallic, let's say. And it was flying over the city, let's say. I haven't seen whether city was in ruins or I just added that idea later from my personal self or something like that. So the UFO was circling around kind of and looking for something on the ground with light like laser beams, that kind of stuff. And my original idea was that uh, the aliens in the spaceship were looking for their kind, actually, because all of us are have some, let's say, origin from the different planets or galaxies or universes or whatever. So I had the idea that craft was looking for the people who are genetically theirs. That's from me. Thank you. Then I can share. I was in Albania for 10 days. In the meantime, so if you like me to share, you can say. Thank you.
Yes, we would like you to share. I met somebody yesterday here from Croatia. She's a ballerina, a professional ballerina. And I said, "Oh, I know somebody from Serbia, Vesna." She said, "Oh, my mother's name is Vesna."
Okay, so uh, uh, it was, I went to Albania with some hitchhikers because it was the way I could afford it. And as I'm traveling alone, it's uh, complicated for me to rent a room for one because I need to give some additional payment and that it's too much and so on. So I went to Albania because they have a beautiful sea coast, so it's still Adriatic going into Mediterranean, and the sea is not polluted. Very few people there and no industry. Their main industry is drugs, actually, and distribution. No PCR tests or vaccines were needed, so that's one of the main reasons I traveled there to the seaside. And I have seen masks. What in those 10 days, I've seen masks like twice. Once when the custom officer get into our bus and ask us to put our masks on, and the second time it was some 80 plus lady whom I saw twice, going to town, obviously, with her husband, and he was not wearing the mask, but she did. So no masks, no restrictions, wonderful clear water, modest people, and I had a very good impression from there. Kind of, I'm aware that wherever we go, we actually deal with the karma of that country. And this one, Albania, was heavily controlled for quite a number of years by the dictator. Uh, with, but one is that they were heavily controlled, and the other is that they did not own anything to anybody, like a monetary fund or banks or things like that. So um, every coin has two sides, obviously, and they are pretty wild as a people, in the sense that they easily kill the whole family if somebody offends them from that family and things like that. Vendetta thing, like blood vendetta or something. I don't know how to say it in English, whatever. So they are pretty wild and uncontrolled in that sense. And what even I witnessed some shooting over tourists, or tourists in a sense that one who rents the house was accusing the other one who rents the house that they overtook his tourists. So can you imagine 2 hours loud shouting, and then some bullets at the end of it, bullets into the air, obviously, and some police and things like that. So it was kind of funny. So I guess there is more to our travels than we realize, uh, because we kind of help them balance when we travel, when we move around every day. We help them balance their karma, and we also lift with our consciousness, we lift their consciousness, although for a while, I guess. So it is, I suggest that if you don't know where to travel to your holidays, you can travel Albania. You would not regret it. Thank you.
Okay, sounds a little dangerous though. If we get in an argument,
We have
no?
different experiences in this lifetime.
Hmm.
This country have had the biggest inflation after the German one which was in 30s. So we have like billions of percentage of inflation. We lived through it for a year. So that's one experience we had. The next one, we have been bombed as an experiment by NATO for 78 days, bombed, okay, with real bombs. And everything was destroyed and things like that. So some shooting doesn't make much of an impression. Thank you.